The sound of my pack is the sound of a storm. It's the roar of laughter that cracks like thunder in the great hall. It's the clang of practice steel on steel, a violent, percussive hail that rings out from the training grounds from dawn until dusk. It's the howl, the deep, guttural, soul-shaking howl that rises with the moon, a chorus of dominance and belonging that declares to the dark woods, "We are the Umbral Fang. We are here. And we are strong." My pack is a symphony of strength. And I am the silence in the heart of it. My name is Kael. And I have never howled. Not once. Not when I was a pup tumbling with the others. Not when the first agonizing pains of the shift tore through my bones, leaving me broken and incomplete. Not even in the darkest pits of my own despair. The sound simply isn't there. It's a void inside me, a string that was never strung. They call me a Shadow Omega. It's a name whispered with a mix of pity and contempt. It means I am flawed. My shift, when it comes, is not the glorious, seamless transformation into a proud wolf. It is a war within my own skin. My bones grind, my muscles tear, but the final form never fully arrives. I am left a twisted thing, caught somewhere between man and beast, a creature of agony that belongs to neither world. And I am silent. In a pack of wolves, silence is the ultimate sin. It is a confession of weakness. From my place by the cookfires I watch my brother, Jax. He stands in the center of the training ring, chest heaving, his bare skin gleaming with sweat and marked with ritualistic paint. The warrior he just defeated struggles to his feet, bowing his head in submission. Jax throws his head back and lets out a howl of victory that makes the very air vibrate. The pack answers him, their voices joining his in a chorus of adoration. Jax is everything I am not. He is the storm made manifest. His shift is perfect, a monstrous gray wolf with fur the color of ash and eyes like burning coals. His strength is legendary, his laughter is a cannon blast, his presence fills any space he occupies. He is an alpha's dream, our father's pride. And he's my brother. The constant, living reminder of my own failure. He catches my eye across the compound. His triumphant smile falters, replaced by the familiar tightening of his jaw. It's a look that says, "You are a shadow I am forced to carry." He turns away, back to the cheers, back to the world where he belongs. I don't blame him. In the Umbral Fang you are either a weapon or a burden. There is no in-between. I turn back to my own task, my fingers resuming their work on a small, unassuming piece of wood. It's a branch from a whisperwood tree, smooth and pale. With a shard of sharpened flint, I carefully hollow out the center, shaving away splinters that fall like dust onto my worn leather trousers. The others see it as a worthless habit. The silent Omega playing with his sticks. They don't understand. This is my howl. This is the only sound I can create that feels true. The carving, the focus it demands, quiets the gnawing ache in my bones from my last failed shift. It gives my hands a purpose beyond scrubbing pots and mending torn cloaks. Slowly, carefully I carve the last of the finger holes. I bring the wood to my lips, my breath ghosting over the opening. It is not yet a flute. It is just a piece of wood, a splinter of a tree that grew in silence. Like me, it is waiting for a voice. Chapter 2, The Withered Throne. The Great Hall of the Umbral Fang is a cavern of stone and smoke. Ancient tapestries depicting legendary hunts hang from the walls, their colors faded to shades of rust and shadow. The air is thick with the smell of roasted meat, spilled ale, and something else. Something cold and sharp like the scent of coming winter. It is the smell of fear. Our fear has a name. Seraphina. She was not always a source of terror. The elders speak of a time when her laughter was as loud as any warrior's, when her silver hair shone like the full moon in the firelight. But that was before the Withering Curse. No one knows where it came from. A rival pack's shaman, a vengeful forest spirit, a blight born from a forgotten sin. All we know is what it does. It is a slow, creeping death that drinks the life from its victim. It started 2 winters ago. First, her hair lost its luster, turning a dull, lifeless white. Then her eyes, once the vibrant green of new moss, faded to a chilling, milky gray. And then the veins appeared. Thin, black lines that snaked up from her chest, over her neck, and across her cheeks like cracks in porcelain. They are a map of her decay, a visible sign of the pack's failing heart. As she weakens, so do we. Our hunts are less successful, our pups are born smaller, and the storm of our spirit feels muted. Tonight the entire pack is gathered. An emergency council has been called. I move through the tense crowd, a phantom in the background, refilling goblets with fermented berry wine. My role is to be invisible, and it gives me the freedom to listen. The curse is quickening, I hear a warrior mutter. The veins were only on her neck last week. Now they touch her eyes. She needs a mate, an elder hisses back. A bond of strength to fight the poison. A new alpha to anchor her, to anchor us. A hush falls over the hall as the heavy oak doors creak open. Two of her personal guard, the stone-faced huskarls, step inside. And then she follows. Alpha Seraphina moves like a ghost. Her ceremonial black leathers, usually supple and gleaming, seem to hang from her gaunt frame. The firelight catches the silver circlet on her brow, but it offers no warmth to her features. Her face is a mask of stoic agony, and the black veins pulse faintly against her pale skin, a web of living darkness. The hall feels 10 degrees colder. Every warrior, even Jax, bows their head. She settles onto the throne of carved stone and obsidian, not sitting so much as collapsing onto it. She does not speak. He doesn't have to. Her labored breath is sound enough. One of the high elders, a grizzled wolf named Urthik, steps forward. His voice, usually a powerful command, is strained. Alpha, he begins, his gaze fixed on the floor. The spirits are silent and the hunt grows lean. The withering finds its strength in your solitude. The council is unanimous. A mate must be chosen. The offering will be held on the next full moon. A champion must be presented, one whose vitality can challenge the shadow that claims you. He is talking about a mating rite, but it sounds like a sacrifice. They are not offering her a partner. They are offering her a cure. A life to be consumed to save her own. Seraphina slowly lifts her head. Her milky eyes, devoid of emotion, scan the faces of her pack. Warriors, elders, mothers, pups. I shrink back into the shadows, hoping to be overlooked by that chilling gaze. For a fleeting moment her eyes pass over me. There is no recognition, no dismissal. It is like being looked at by death itself. Then she looks at my brother Jax, who stands tall and proud at the front. For the briefest of instants, a flicker of something crosses her face. Not hope. Not interest. Just a tired, weary acknowledgement. He is the strongest. The most vital. The obvious choice. A low murmur of agreement ripples through the pack. Jax's chin lifts with pride. He is ready to be the sacrifice. The savior. From the shadows, I look at the dying woman on the throne, a prisoner of her own power, and I feel something no one else here would dare to. Not fear. Not reverence. Pity. And I wonder if a storm can truly save someone who is drowning in silence. Chapter 3. Echoes and Splinters. The path back to the small drafty alcove I share with Jax is a gauntlet of whispers. It will be Jax, of course. His strength will burn the curse right out of her. Finally, the pack will have a true alpha again. A king to our queen. When I arrive, Jax is already there. He is stripped to the waist, wiping the ceremonial paint from his chest. The muscles in his back ripple as he moves. He doesn't look at me as I enter, but I feel his awareness of me like a change in pressure. They are already calling me Alpha Consort, he says, his voice a low rumble of satisfaction. He turns and his eyes, so like mine in color but worlds apart in expression, finally land on me. The satisfaction curdles. Father would be proud, he says, but there's an edge to it. One son to save the pack. And the other, he gestures vaguely at me, at my small frame, my plain clothes. The gesture says everything. To do what, exactly? I am glad for you, brother, I say, my voice soft. It always is. A quiet voice for a quiet wolf. He scoffs, tossing the stained rag onto a stool. Glad? What do you know of it? You hide in the shadows, carving your little toys while I bleed for this pack. While I prepare to bind myself to a dying woman to keep us all from ruin. It is a great honor, I offer. It is a duty, he snaps, his frustration finally boiling over. He stalks towards me, his size and fury making our small space shrink. An honor I have earned with blood and bone. While you shame our name with your silence. Every time they look at you, they are reminded that the blood of a champion can also run thin. You are a splinter in the heart of this family, Kael. His words are like stones, heavy and familiar. I have been built from them. I lower my gaze, my hand instinctively going to the small pouch at my belt where I keep my flint and the half-finished flute. He sees the movement. Still at it? A grown wolf, playing with sticks like a pup. Why do you waste your time with that noise? It's not noise, I whisper, my defiance so quiet it's almost swallowed by the room. It's wine. He doesn't understand. He never could. He thinks my music is a choice, a frivolous hobby. He doesn't know that it's a necessity. The wood for this flute came from the heart of the whisperwood. It's a sacred place, a grove so quiet that you can hear the blood moving in your own ears. I found the branch after my last disastrous shift. I had dragged my mangled body there, hiding from the shame-filled eyes of my pack, my bones screaming a silent symphony of failure. I collapsed at the foot of the oldest tree, and when I awoke, this perfectly smooth pale branch was lying across my chest. A gift, perhaps. Or just a coincidence. But when I began to carve it, I found that the focus of the work, the slow and patient act of creation, was the only thing that could untangle the knots of pain inside me. The act of making something that could create a sound, even a small one, felt like an answer to my own voicelessness. It is all I have, I say, finally looking up to meet his angry gaze. Jack stares at me for a long moment. The anger in his eyes softens just for a second into something that looks painfully like pity. It's worse than the anger. Then you have nothing, he says, his voice flat. He turns his back on me, ending the conversation. That night, when he is asleep, his snores a low rumble that shakes the walls. I take out my flute. I don't dare play it here. Instead, I just hold it. The wood is cool and smooth against my fingers. I think of the dying alpha on her withered throne. Jack sees her as a duty, a challenge to be conquered with his strength. But when I think of her, I think of the silence surrounding her. A silence born not of peace but of profound, unending pain. It is a silence I understand all too well. Chapter 4, The Offering. The day of the offering dawns gray and cold. A nervous energy thrums through the pack. It's not the excited hum of a festival or the grim focus of a coming battle. It is the tense, brittle atmosphere of a high-stakes ritual where failure is not an option. Today is the day our pack's future is decided. Today, Alpha Seraphina will choose her mate. Though in reality there is no choice to be made. There is only Jack's. I watch him from a distance as he prepares. The elders anoint him with sacred oils that make his skin gleam in the flat light. They paint the pack sigil, a snarling wolf's head silhouetted against a broken moon, across his broad back. He is a living embodiment of our pack's ideals. He sharpens his ceremonial axe not because it needs it, but for the ritual of it, the screech of stone on steel, a prayer to the god of war. For his offering, he has chosen the skull of a great dire bear he hunted and killed last winter, a beast that had terrorized our southern borders for a generation. The skull is massive, bleached white, its empty sockets a testament to my brother's power. It is a perfect offering. A symbol of a protector who can vanquish any threat. My duties, as always, are mundane. I help the other Omegas polish the ceremonial goblets until they shine, my reflection a distorted, wavering stranger. I carry trays of smoked meats and hard cheeses into the great hall, arranging them on long tables. My invisibility is my shield. While others are posturing and praying, I am simply a pair of hands, a ghost moving through the thick anticipation. As I lay out the last of the food, the horns sound, signaling the alpha's arrival. I retreat to the edges of the hall, finding a place near the great hearth where the shadows are deepest. Seraphina enters and a collective sharp intake of breath sweeps the room. If it is possible, she looks worse. The curse has advanced. The black veins are thicker, darker, and they now creep past her temples, weaving into her white hairline. She moves with a painful slowness, leaning heavily on her huskarls for support. Each step seems to cost her something vital. She takes her seat on the throne, her expression unreadable. The firelight flickers across her face, making the dark veins seem to writhe. The ceremony begins. One by one, the pack's champions step forward. They are the strongest, the most respected. But they are not true contenders. They are part of the ritual. Each presents an offering, a rare pelt, a finely crafted weapon, a jewel from a trader's caravan. To each, Seraphina gives a slow, tired nod of dismissal. They are formalities. Appetizers before the main course. Then it is Jax's turn. He strides forward, his confidence a palpable force. He carries the dire bear skull before him like a king presenting his crown. He kneels at the foot of the throne and holds it aloft. Alpha. His voice booms, filling the hall. I offer you the strength of the beast I have slain. I offer you my blood, my bone, and my howl to serve as your shield against the darkness. I am the strength of this pack. Let me be your strength as well. A roar of approval shakes the rafters. This is it. The perfect speech. The perfect offering from the perfect warrior. The pack has chosen. Jax remains kneeling, his head bowed, awaiting his acceptance. But Seraphina is silent. The seconds stretch, turning the pack's triumphant roar into a confused, shuffling silence. And in that silence her eyes lift. They pass over the magnificent skull, over the kneeling form of my perfect brother, as if they are nothing more than stone and air. Her gaze travels over the assembled warriors, over the elders, over the mothers clutching their pups. Her eyes are searching. And then, impossibly, they stop. They stop on me. I am half hidden in the shadows of the hearth, a serving tray still clutched in my hands. For one heart-stopping moment, the alpha of the Umbral Fang looks at me. And in her dead, milky eyes I see a flicker. Not of recognition. It is a flicker of hunger. A desperate, soul-deep starvation for something she cannot name. The moment breaks as quickly as it came. She looks away. But I cannot shake the feeling. She wasn't looking at the offerings. She was listening for something else entirely. She was listening for a sound that wasn't there. Chapter 5. The Alpha's Choice. The silence in the great hall is a living thing. It is heavy, suffocating, pressing down on us with the weight of a century. Jax is still kneeling, the great skull held before him, his perfect offering now looking absurd, a child's toy in a house of the dead. His confidence has evaporated, replaced by a rigid, humiliated stillness. Alpha Seraphina's gaze is no longer on me. It is unfocused, drifting over the pack as if we are all just shades in her dying vision. A low, pained groan escapes her lips, and she presses a hand to her temple, where the black veins pulse with a sickening rhythm. The noise, she whispers, her voice a dry rasp like leaves skittering across gravestones. The howling, the boasts, they do nothing. She closes her eyes. They only feed the ache. Urthik the Elder takes a hesitant step forward. Alpha, your champion awaits. Jax has offered his strength. His strength is a storm that shatters the trees, she interrupts, her voice gaining a sliver of its old, cutting power. But the blight is in the roots. A storm cannot reach it. She opens her eyes again and they are terrifyingly clear. They sweep the hall once more, this time with purpose. I am tired of the noise. Her gaze passes over Jax, dismissing him completely. Bring me the silent one. The words hang in the air, laced with frost. The silent one. Every head in the hall turns. Every eye finds me in the shadows. There is only one wolf in the Umbral Fang who fits that name. Me. My blood turns to ice water in my veins. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic drum against the sudden, absolute silence. What does she mean? Is this a punishment? A public shaming for my weakness before she accepts my brother? Before I can think, before I can run, two of her huskarls are on me. Their huge hands grip my arms and they haul me from the shadows. I stumble, the serving tray clattering to the stone floor. They drag me forward through the stunned rows of my packmates, their faces a blur of shock and contempt. They force me to my knees before the throne, a few feet from where my brother still kneels, his face a mask of disbelief and incandescent fury. I am a lamb brought to the slaughter. I keep my eyes on the floor, bracing for the blow, for the final, humiliating end. In my terror, my hand fumbles at my belt, and the small, pale flute I finished carving this morning slips from its leather loop. It rolls across the stone floor, coming to a stop directly at the feet of the Alpha. A long, trembling finger points at it. Play, Seraphina commands, her voice a raw whisper. I stare at her, confused. Play? Here? No. This is a madness. The entire pack is watching. My brother's hatred is a physical heat on my back. Play, she repeats, and this time, there is a desperate, pleading edge to her voice that cuts through my fear. My hands shake as I retrieve the flute. It feels impossibly light, impossibly fragile. I look at my brother. His eyes are burning with a promise of pain. I look at the pack and I see only disgust. I'm shaming them all. Then I look at the Alpha. at the woman dying on the throne. And I see in her eyes the same profound, lonely agony that lives in my own bones. I close my eyes. I shut out the hall, the stairs, the hate. I bring the flute to my lips and I do the only thing I have ever been able to do. I make my own sound. It starts as a single low note. Soft. Hesitant. It is not the music of a festival or a war chant. It is the melody of the quiet woods, of the lonely wind that blows through the mountain pass. It's the song of my own silent heart, finally given a voice. It weaves through the great hole, a fragile thread of sound in a world of crushing silence. And then a gasp ripples through the crowd. My eyes flutter open. I keep playing, but I look at Seraphina. The black veins on her neck. They are no longer pulsing. The deep, ugly color is receding, fading from stark black to a faint gray, like ink washed away by a gentle rain. A touch of warmth, the barest hint of life, is returning to her pale skin. The music is not just a sound. It is medicine. It is a balm against the darkness of her curse. My song is healing her. I finish the melody, the last note hanging in the air like a ghost before fading away. The silence that returns is different. It is not tense. It is awestruck. Seraphina rises from her throne. She moves not with the agonizing slowness of before, but with a newfound steadiness. She descends the stone steps, her milky eyes fixed on me. She stops, standing over me, a queen reborn. She reaches out and her fingers, no longer deathly cold, gently touch my cheek. Your brother offered me a weapon to fight my enemies, she says, her voice clear and strong, ringing through the hall. She looks past me, her gaze piercing Jack's where he still kneels, broken. But you, she says, turning her warm eyes back to me. You offered me a song to fight my demons. She takes my hand, the one not holding the flute, and pulls me to my feet. She holds our joined hands up for the entire pack, for my brother, for the world to see. I have made my choice. Chapter 6. The weight of a hand. The moment stretches into an eternity. My hand is engulfed in hers, and the contact is a strange and complex shock. I had expected the cold of the grave, the dry, papery feel of a body surrendering to its end. Instead, a surprising warmth blooms from her skin, a gentle heat that feels like the first sun after a long winter. It travels up my arm, chasing away the chill of my fear, and for the first time in my life, I feel a current of energy that is not my own pain. It is life. Hers. Stirred from its slumber by my song. The whispers in the hall begin to swell, turning from shocked gasps into a low, angry buzz, like a nest of disturbed hornets. The Omega? Her mind is gone. The curse has taken her reason. This is an abomination. An insult to us all. I can feel the collective disbelief and fury of the pack rolling towards us in waves. But it all breaks against the silent, unyielding presence of the woman holding my hand. Seraphina does not look at them. Her focus is entirely on me, and in her pale eyes, I see something that terrifies me more than the pack's anger, gratitude, and a terrifying, possessive resolve. The most dangerous sound, however, comes from behind me. It is the scrape of steel on stone. Jax is rising to his feet. He does so slowly, deliberately. The dire bare skull lies forgotten at his feet. His face, when I dare to glance at it, is a mask of cold, white-hot fury. His knuckles are white where he grips the handle of his ceremonial axe. He is not just humiliated, he is erased. His entire purpose, the destiny he has bled for since he was a pup, has been stolen by the one thing he despises most. My weakness. Alpha, he says, his voice dangerously low and tight. What is the meaning of this jest? Seraphina's grip on my hand tightens. She finally turns her gaze to him, and the warmth I felt vanishes, replaced by an arctic frost. There is no jest, Jax, she says, her voice echoing with the authority she has not truly wielded in years. The offering is concluded. The choice is made. You choose him. Jax spits the word, his eyes flicking to me with utter revulsion. The silent one. The broken shift. He cannot protect you. He cannot lead a hunt. He cannot sire strong pups. He is nothing. He is the first wolf in 2 years who has lessened my pain, Seraphina counters, her voice slicing through his anger. Your strength could not do that. Your halls could not do that. Your glorious offerings could not do that. His nothing, as you call it, has given me more than this pack's entirety of something. She takes a step, pulling me with her, placing me slightly behind her in a gesture of unmistakable protection. It is so foreign, so utterly alien to be shielded rather than shoved aside that my knees feel weak. She addresses the whole hall now. You have all watched me wither. You have offered me your warriors and your empty rituals. You have treated this curse like a battle to be won with fang and claw. You were wrong. Her eyes find mine again. It is a sickness of the soul. And a sickness of the soul requires a different kind of medicine. She lifts our joined hands higher. Kael is my choice. He will be my consort. He will reside in my chambers and he will be given the respect of his new station. Let any who challenge this decision challenge me directly. Her gaze sweeps across the sea of hostile faces, lingering for a moment on the fuming elders and finally on my brother. No one moves. No one speaks. Challenging an alpha, even a weakened one, is a death sentence. Jax's jaw works, a muscle twitching in his cheek. He wants to. Oh, how he wants to. The desire to lunge, to bury his axe in my chest, to erase this shame, is a living thing in his eyes. But he does not. He cannot. Slowly, his fingers uncurling from the axe handle, he lowers his head. It is not a bow of respect. It is the posture of a predator forced to submit, biding its time. As you command, Alpha. He bites out the words, each one a shard of glass. Seraphina holds his gaze for a moment longer before turning. She does not release my hand. Instead, she begins to walk, pulling me along in her wake. Her huskgirls fall into step behind us. Their armor forms a solid wall between us and the seething pack. She leads me away from the great hall, away from the life of shadows I have always known, and towards the Alpha's spire at the heart of our settlement. With every step I feel hundreds of eyes on my back, a weight of hatred and confusion that is heavier than any physical burden I have ever carried. Her hand remains warm in mine, a strange and terrifying anchor in a world that has just been torn from its moorings. I am no longer Kael, the Shadow Omega. I am now Kael, the Alpha's choice. And I have no idea if I have just been saved, or condemned to a fate far worse than silence. Chapter 7. The Gilded Cage. The Alpha's Spire is a place I have only ever seen from the outside. It's a tower of black stone and ancient timber that rises from the center of our settlement, its peak often wreathed in mist, like a finger pointing to a disapproving sky. As a child, I imagined it as a place of unimaginable power and comfort. The reality is colder. Seraphina leads me through heavy, iron-bound doors and into her private chambers. The main room is vast, circular, with a domed ceiling painted with constellations. A huge, unlit fireplace dominates one wall, and thick furs are scattered across the stone floor. But there is no warmth here. Dust motes dance in the thin beams of light filtering through the high, narrow windows. The air is stale, carrying the faint, medicinal scent of dried herbs and something else. The metallic tang of old blood and despair. This is not a home. It is a tomb. A gilded cage where our Alpha has been waiting to die. She finally releases my hand, the absence of her touch leaving my skin feeling cold and exposed. She moves to the center of the room and sinks into a large, throne-like chair upholstered in cracked leather. The brief surge of strength my music gave her seems to be fading, and the weariness returns to her bones. The black veins on her neck, though still fainter than before, seem to pulse with a renewed, subtle menace. They will hate you, she says, her voice flat. It is not a warning. It is a statement of fact. I stand awkwardly by the door, my flute still clutched in my hand. They already did, I reply, the truth of it making the words taste like ash in my mouth. A flicker of something, surprise? Empathy, crosses her face. Yes. I suppose they did. She gestures to a smaller chair near the hearth. Sit. The huskgirls will bring you food. Anything you require you need only ask for. I do not move. Alpha. I don't understand. What do you want from me? I want what you gave me in the hall, she says, her pale eyes intense. I want more of that peace, that quiet. When you play, the pain recedes, the cold in my blood warms. I do not know what magic your song holds, Kael, but it is the first thing that has fought the curse. I want you here. I need you here. So that's it. I am not to be her mate, her consort in any real sense. I am to be her healer. Her living, breathing medicine. A songbird kept in a cage to soothe a dying queen. A part of me should be relieved. The alternative, the physical duties of a mate to an alpha, is a terrifying and impossible thought. But another part of me feels a familiar pang. I am not a person to her. I am a tool, a means to an end. It is a role I know well, just with a more luxurious setting. And what of my brother? I ask, the question leaving my lips before I can stop it. What of the pack? Your brother will learn his place, she says with cold certainty. And the pack will learn theirs. They have followed my bloodline for 10 generations. They will not break from it now, no matter how much they despise my choice. She leans her head back, a deep sigh escaping her. Leave me now. I must rest. But stay within the spire. Do not leave these chambers until I summon you. It is a command. I bow my head. Yes, Alpha. I turn and retreat to a small antechamber she had gestured towards. It is more luxurious than any space I have ever occupied, with a soft bed piled high with furs and a window that looks out over the entire settlement. From here I can see it all. The training grounds where I was never welcome, the great hall where I was condemned, the cook fires where I served. My whole life laid out below me like a map I can no longer use. A short while later, one of the silent huskarls enters with a tray. It holds roasted chicken, fresh bread, a wedge of cheese and a goblet of wine. It is more food and better food than I have ever been given in a single meal. I should be hungry, but my stomach is a knot of anxiety. I sit on the edge of the bed, the tray on my lap, and stare out the window. Down below I see them. My packmates. They are gathered in small, angry clusters. Their faces are turned up towards the spire. Towards my window. I see Jack standing with the elders, his hands clenched into fists, his expression murderous. They are not looking at the spire. They are looking at me. The traitor. The abomination. The shadow Omega who somehow bewitched their dying Alpha. Seraphina called this room a sanctuary. But looking down at the sea of hatred below, I know she was wrong. This isn't a sanctuary. It's a cage suspended high above a pack of wolves that would tear me to pieces if they could. And the only thing keeping me safe is the will of one dying woman who sees me as nothing more than a song. Chapter 8. A Brother's Promise. Sleep does not come. I lie in the impossibly soft bed, the furs feeling like a trap, and listen to the sounds of the spire. It is an old place, full of groans and sighs as the wind pushes against the stone. Sounds like the tower itself is in pain. Just before dawn, when the darkness is at its deepest, I hear a new sound. A soft scrape of leather on stone from outside my window. My heart seizes. The window is high, the walls sheer. It should be impossible. I slide from the bed, my bare feet silent on the cold floor, and creep towards the window. Peering out, my breath catches in my throat. A figure is clinging to the rough-hewn stone, using the smallest of handholds to climb the tower. Even in the gloom, the sheer size and power of the form is unmistakable. He reaches the ledge of my window, his movements terrifyingly silent and precise for such a large man. He pulls himself up and over the sill, landing in my room with a soft thud that speaks of immense strength under perfect control. For a moment we just stare at each other. His face is a mask of shadows, but his eyes gleam with a chilling, predatory light. He is not just angry anymore. This is something deeper, something broken and dangerous. Brother, he whispers, and the word is a razor blade. I back away, my hand instinctively reaching for the flute I left on the bedside table. A pathetic defense against a wolf like him. He sees the movement and a cruel, humorless smile touches his lips. What will you do, little bird? Play me a tune. He takes a step forward and I take one back, my bare heel hitting the leg of the bed. I could kill you right now. Snap your neck before the huskarls even knew I was here. And do you know what the pack would do? They would cheer. They would carry me on their shoulders and declare me a hero for cleansing this shame from our Alpha. Then why don't you? I whisper, my voice trembling. His smile vanishes. Because she chose you. And I will not give her the satisfaction of making me a traitor. I will not be exiled for killing the Alpha's pet. He spits the word like poison. But hear this, Kael. This changes nothing. You're not one of them. You are not a consort. You are a temporary cure. A poultice on a festering wound. And when she is healed, or when she finally dies, you will have nowhere left to hide. He stalks closer until he is towering over me, his shadow swallowing me whole. He leans in, his voice dropping to a deadly, conspiratorial whisper. Enjoy this cage. Enjoy the fine food and the soft bed. Because the moment her protection is gone, I will be waiting. And I will finish what the failure of your own blood started. I will break you so completely that no one will ever remember the sound of your name, let alone your pathetic little songs. That is my promise. Without another word, he turns, slips back over the windowsill and disappears into the darkness. I stand there, shaking, my skin cold with sweat. His threat hangs in the air, more real and more terrifying than any curse. Seraphina has offered me a temporary reprieve, a gilded cage to protect me from the pack. But my brother has just reminded me of a brutal truth. All cages eventually open. And he will be the one waiting outside the door. My own blood. My judge, jury, and executioner. The storm waiting patiently to reclaim the silence. Chapter 9. The First Lesson. The next few days pass in a blur of surreal monotony. My life becomes a simple, terrifying rhythm. I wake in my chamber, eat the food that is brought to me, and wait. 3 times a day, a huskgirl escorts me to the Alpha's main chamber. I enter, sit in the chair by the hearth, and play my flute. The effect is undeniable. Each time I play, it's like watching a withered flower being given water. The music seems to flow into Seraphina, pushing back the encroaching darkness of the curse. The black veins on her skin retreat further with each session, now little more than faint gray traceries on her neck. The color in her eyes deepens, a hint of mossy green returning to the pale gray. Her strength returns in small increments. She begins to stand and walk on her own, her movements losing their painful fragility. During these sessions she does not speak. She simply closes her eyes and absorbs the music. She breathes it in like a drowning woman breathing air. And as soon as the last note fades, she dismisses me with a nod. I am her physician. My flute is my only prescription. But the pack sickness is not so easily cured. From my window I watch the growing unrest. The training in the yard becomes more violent, the sparring matches edged with a raw, angry desperation. Jax is at the center of it all, pushing the warriors harder than ever, his howls of command filled with a new, sharp-edged fury. He is forging them into his own image. Into an army of the resentful. On the 4th day something changes. After I finish playing my morning melody, Seraphina does not dismiss me. She opens her eyes, which are clearer today than I have ever seen them, and watches me for a long moment. It is not enough, she says, her voice firm. I look up, confused. Alpha? The curse. It is receding. The curse on my body is receding, she corrects. But the curse on my pack is growing stronger. They see you as a witch, a charlatan who has somehow charmed their dying Alpha. They see my healing not as a blessing, but as a betrayal of their traditions of strength. She rises from her chair and walks to the great window that overlooks the settlement. They respect only power. Fang and claw. A lesson my father beat into me. He turns back to me. You have a power they do not understand, Kael. But it is a passive power. A shield. To be a leader in this pack, to be my consort even in name only, you must also have a sword. My stomach plummets. Alpha, I am no warrior. My shift. I am well aware of your limitations. She cuts me off, a hint of impatience in her tone. But a warrior is not just a body. It is a mind. A will. You will learn. Learn what? I ask, a sense of dread creeping over me. How to fight, she says simply. How to command respect not with a song but with your presence. How to meet the gaze of a wolf who wishes you dead and not be the first to look away. Before I can protest, she strides to the chamber door and calls for her huskgirls. Bring sparring blades. And send a runner to fetch the Alpha consort. Her eyes find mine and there is a glint of something new in them. Not just resolve. It is a flicker of the old, predatory Alpha she once was. Your first lesson, she says, a faint, cruel smile touching her lips, will be with your brother. My blood runs cold. A sparring match. With Jax. It's not a lesson. It is a death sentence. He will not hold back. He will cripple me. He will break me in front of her to prove her choice was a foolish one. I cannot, I whisper, the words catching in my throat. Seraphina's expression hardens. She stalks towards me, her presence suddenly overwhelming, the barely contained power of an Alpha pressing down on me. She cups my chin, her grip surprisingly strong, forcing my head up. You think I do this for your benefit? She hisses, her face inches from mine. I do this for mine. The pack must see you are more than a songbird. They must see that my choice has teeth. You will stand. You will fight. And you will learn to endure. For if you break before them, you are useless to me. And if you are useless to me, I will have no reason to keep you from the wolves at the door. Do you understand? I look into her eyes and I see the terrifying truth. This is not about teaching me. This is about using me. I am a pawn, a piece she is moving on the board to solidify her own power. My survival is secondary to her strategy. Swallowing the fear that threatens to choke me, I give a single shaky nod. I understand. The cruel smile returns to her lips. Good, she says, releasing me. Then let the lesson begin. Chapter 10, The Sound of Steel. The training ring is a circle of packed, unforgiving earth. Usually, it is a place of organized chaos, warriors sparring, pups tumbling, the air filled with grunts and shouts. Today it is silent. The entire pack has gathered, forming a thick, suffocating wall around the ring. They are not here for a sporting match. They are here for an execution. I stand in the center of the circle, a dulled practice sword in my hand. Feels heavy, alien, an unwieldy length of metal I have no idea how to use. I am dressed in simple leather training gear that hangs loosely on my frame. Across from me, Jack stands shirtless, his chest a canvas of old scars and fresh rage. He holds a matching sword, but in his hand, it looks like a natural extension of his arm. Seraphina watches from a raised platform, her expression impassive, regal. She is the one who ordered this, the one who set this stage. Jax's eyes lock onto mine. There is no brotherly affection there, not even a flicker. There is only a cold, gleeful promise of pain. Are you ready for your lesson, little bird? He taunts, his voice loud enough for the entire pack to hear. A wave of cruel laughter ripples through the crowd. I do not answer. My heart is a frantic rabbit in my chest. I grip the sword hilt, my knuckles white. Meet the gaze of a wolf who wishes you dead, Seraphina had said. I force myself to hold his stare, to not look away. Begin, Seraphina's voice cuts through the tension. Jax does not hesitate. He lunges, not with the wild abandon of a berserker, but with the swift, brutal efficiency of a trained killer. The attack is a blur. I barely have time to raise my sword to block. The clang of steel is a deafening shock. The force of his blow travels down my arm, rattling my teeth and nearly tearing the sword from my grasp. I stumble back, my feet clumsy, my balance non-existent. He gives me no time to recover. He presses the attack. Blow after blow rains down on me. Left, right, a high swing, a low jab. It is all I can do to lift my sword in a desperate, clumsy parody of a defense. I am not fighting, I am simply surviving the onslaught. Clang. The force numbs my shoulder. Clang. I trip backward over my own feet, landing hard on the dirt. Clang. He brings his sword down in an overhead arc that would have split my skull if I hadn't rolled frantically to the side. The blade buries itself in the earth where my head had been. The pack roars, a primal sound of bloodlust and approval. They are savoring this. The humiliation of the alpha's pet. The rightful order being restored through violence. I scramble back to my feet, my lungs burning, my body already a mess of aches. Jack stalks me, a predator toying with his meal. What's wrong, Kael? He sneers. Can't you play a tune to save yourself? Or does your magic only work on dying women? Rage, hot and unfamiliar, lances through my fear. I grip my sword and with a desperate cry I charge him. It is a foolish amateurish move. He sidesteps my clumsy swing with contemptuous ease. As I stumble past him, he kicks the back of my knee. My leg buckles and I crash to the ground again. Before I can move, a heavy boot plants itself on my chest, pinning me to the earth. He levels the tip of his practice sword at my throat. The crowd falls silent. It is over. He leans down, his face inches from mine, his breath hot with exertion and hate. This is where you belong, he whispers for my ears alone. In the dirt. Broken. Silent. He presses the sword tip harder against my throat, not enough to break the skin, but enough for me to feel the cold, hard promise of it. I look past him, up at the platform. Seraphina is watching, her face unreadable. Is this what she wanted? To see me utterly defeated? To prove her choice a mistake? Something inside me snaps. It is not a surge of strength. It is not a hidden warrior's instinct. It is the simple, stubborn refusal to die like this. To have my last moment be one of silent, pathetic submission under my brother's boot. My hand, the one not pinned, is lying in the dirt next to me. My fingers scrabble and close around a small, sharp-edged stone. With every last ounce of will I possess, I ignore the blade at my throat. I ignore the triumphant hatred in my brother's eyes. My gaze locks onto his foot on my chest. And I swing the rock as hard as I can, smashing it into his ankle. A sharp, surprised cry of pain bursts from him. His focus breaks. The pressure at my throat lessens for a fraction of a second. It is all I need. I buck my hips, using his momentary imbalance to shove his boot off my chest. I roll away, gasping for air, and scramble to my feet, my sword still in hand. Jax is hopping on one foot, his face contorted in a mask of shocked fury. There is a dark, spreading bruise on his ankle. I, the silent Omega, the broken wolf, have actually hurt him. The pack is silent, stunned. He turns to me, his eyes now truly murderous. The game is over. He straightens up, ignoring the pain in his leg, and begins to advance on me again. But this time something is different. I'm no longer just afraid. The raw, primal instinct to survive is screaming through my veins. I will not win this fight. I know that. But as he raises his sword for the final, decisive blow, I raise mine to meet it. My arms scream in protest, my body is a symphony of pain. But I will not go back in the dirt. I will not be silent. I will meet the storm head-on even if it breaks me. Of course. Here are the next 5 chapters of the audiobook. The Shadow Omega's Forbidden Song, picking up in the heat of the sparring match and exploring the complex, shifting dynamics within the Alpha's Spire. Chapter 11, The Alpha's Gaze. The final clash is not a clang. It is a splintering shriek of tortured metal. My desperate block is hopelessly misaligned, and Jax's powerful downstroke doesn't just drive my blade back. It bends it, the dulled practice sword groaning under a force it was never meant to withstand. The impact sends a shockwave up my arms so violent it feels like my bones are cracking. The sword is torn from my numb fingers, spinning through the air and landing in the dirt a dozen feet away. I am disarmed. Defenseless. Jax stands over me, his chest heaving, the bruise on his ankle a stark mark against his skin. The fury in his eyes has cooled, replaced by a chilling final certainty. He has won. He has proven his point. He raises his own sword, its bent and battered state irrelevant. Even as a club, it would be a lethal weapon in his hands. The pack holds its breath. This is the end of the lesson. I brace myself. I do not close my eyes. I will not give him the satisfaction. I watch the sword begin its descent, and in that split second I am strangely calm. I have done something I never thought I would. I fought back. I drew blood, in a manner of speaking. I was not silent. Enough. The word is not a shout, but it cuts through the air with the authority of a thunderclap. It freezes Jax mid-swing, his sword arm quivering with arrested momentum. Alpha Seraphina is standing. She has descended from the platform and is walking toward the ring, her huskarls parting the pack before her like a ship's prow through water. Her face is as impassive as ever, but her eyes are fixed on the scene with a piercing intensity. She stops at the edge of the training circle. The lesson is over, Jax. He is beaten. Jax does not lower his sword. His gaze remains locked on me. He is not just beaten, he growls, his voice a low threat. He is a disgrace. He used a rock. A scavenger's trick. He has no honor. He has the honor of a wolf who wishes to survive, Seraphina counters, her tone sharp. An instinct you seem to have forgotten in your quest for glory. You won the match the moment it began. The rest was simply cruelty. You sought not to teach but to break. Drop your weapon. For a terrifying moment Jax hesitates. The air crackles with defiance. He is challenging her here in front of the entire pack. His gaze flicks from me to her, a silent war being waged in the space between them. The pack leans forward, sensing the shift in power. But the habit of obedience, ingrained since birth, is a powerful chain. With a final, disgusted snarl, he lowers the sword and throws it to the ground. It lands with a dull thud that echoes the fall of his pride. Get out of my sight, Seraphina commands, her voice leaving no room for argument. Without another look at me, Jax turns and stalks out of the ring. The crowd parts for him, many of his warriors and supporters patting his back, their expressions a mixture of admiration for his prowess and shared hatred for me. The pack is divided and the fault line runs directly through the two of us. Seraphina steps into the ring and walks towards me. My body screams in protest as I try to stand, to show some semblance of strength, but my legs give way and I sink back to one knee. She stops before me, looking down. I expect a word of censure, a dismissal for my pathetic performance. Instead, she says something that shocks me to the core. "You did not win," she says, her voice quiet for my ears only. "But you did not break. And you made him bleed. It is a start." She extends a hand to me. It is not a gesture of comfort. It is a command. "Rise." I stare at her hand, then place my own trembling, dirt-caked hand in hers. Her grip is firm, steady. She pulls me to my feet, and for the second time she stands before the pack with me at her side. "The consort has endured his first trial," she announces, her voice ringing with a strength that belies her own frailty. "He has shown the spirit of the Umbral Fang, to fight until the last breath. Let this be a lesson to you all. Strength is not only in the winning blow. It is in the will to rise after you have fallen." She turns, still holding my arm, and leads me from the ring. The pack watches us go, their expressions a confused mix of resentment and grudging, bewildered respect. They don't understand what they just saw. They don't understand her. And as she helps me, half limping, back towards the cold sanctuary of the Spire, I realize with a jolt of chilling clarity that I don't understand her either. She threw me to the wolves, but when they had me cornered, she was the one who called them off. She is not my savior. She is not my captor. She is something far more complex and far more dangerous. She is my alpha. And I am her weapon, a tool she is sharpening on the whetstone of my brother's hatred. And I am beginning to bleed. Chapter 12. The Price of a Song. The next week is a strange purgatory. My body is a canvas of deep, throbbing bruises, a constant reminder of Jax's fury. Every morning I am taken to the training ring for my lessons. Seraphina assigns one of her huskgirls, a silent, grim-faced giant named Valgard, to be my instructor. Valgard does not speak. He communicates through action. He shows me a stance, a block, a parry, and then he attacks. Unlike Jax, his movements are economical, precise, and devoid of malice. He is not trying to hurt me, he is trying to teach me. But the lessons are brutal. I spend most of my time on my back in the dirt, gasping for air, my muscles screaming. Yet slowly something changes. I learn to anticipate. My blocks become steadier. I learn to use my smaller size to my advantage, dodging and weaving where I cannot hope to block. I am still a terrible fighter. But I am no longer entirely helpless. And 3 times a day, bruised and exhausted, I am summoned to Seraphina's chambers. I sit, pick up my flute, and play. The contrast is jarring. To go from the grunting, violent world of steel to the ethereal, gentle world of my music is a kind of whiplash for the soul. And I begin to notice the price of the song. When I play, I can feel the music leaving me, a tangible stream of something. Energy. Life force. Spirit. It flows into her, replenishing her, but it drains me. After each session, I am left feeling hollowed out, my bones filled with a deep, weary ache that has nothing to do with Valgard's training. The healing is no longer a one-way street. It is a transaction. I am pouring my own life essence into her to fight the curse. One evening, after a particularly long session where she seemed weaker than usual, I finish playing and feel a wave of dizziness wash over me. I lower the flute, my head swimming. "The curse was strong today," Seraphina says from her chair. She sounds stronger, her voice clearer, while mine feels distant. What is it exactly?" I ask, the question slipping out. "The curse." She is silent for a long moment, her newly green eyes studying me. "It is a parasite," she says finally. "A shadow with a hunger. It feeds on life. On spirit. On the very essence of what makes a wolf a wolf." She looks at her own hands. "It drains me, and in turn the pack feels the drain through our bond. That is why they grow restless. Desperate." "And my music?" I prompt, needing to understand. "Your music. It does not kill the parasite," she explains. "It simply feeds it something else. Something pure. It is drawn to your song, and while it feeds on that, it releases its hold on me." She rises and walks towards me, her movements now filled with a fluid grace I have not seen before. "You are a sacrifice, Kael. Every note you play, you offer a piece of your own spirit to keep the shadow at bay. The truth of it lands like a physical blow. The dizziness intensifies. This is why I feel so drained. Why the ache in my bones feels so familiar, so much like the pain of my broken shift. I am giving parts of myself away." She stops before me, and for the first time her expression holds something other than command or calculation. It is a flicker of something akin to sympathy. That is why they must respect you, she says softly. That is why you must learn to fight. If you are to be the pack's living sacrifice, you will not be a willing victim. You will be a warrior choosing to give your strength. There is a great difference. I stare at her, the pieces clicking into place. The training, the public trial, her protection. It is all about perception. She is not just healing her body. She is rewriting my story within the pack. She is transforming the Shadow Omega, the burden, into Kael, the spirit warrior, the wolf who bleeds his own soul to save them. It is a brilliant political move. A masterful piece of strategy. And it requires my slow, willing self-destruction. How long? I ask, my voice a hollow whisper. How long can I do this before there is nothing left of me to give? The sympathy in her eyes vanishes, replaced once again by the cold, pragmatic resolve of an alpha. As long as is necessary, she says. And with that she turns her back on me, the conversation over. I am left alone with the chilling knowledge that I am living on borrowed time. Every song I play is a step closer to my own end. I am trading my silence for my soul, and I have no idea how much of it I have left to spend. Chapter 13. A crack in the stone. My instructor, Valgard, is a creature of stone and silence. In the 2 weeks I have been training with him, I have not heard him utter a single word. He is a wall of muscle and scars, his face a landscape of grim duty. He teaches, I fail, I rise, he teaches again. That is our rhythm. Today, however, the rhythm breaks. We are in the ring, going through a blocking drill. My arms are leaden, my body protesting every movement. My healing session with Seraphina this morning was long, and I feel unusually drained, as if the curse was hungrier than normal. Valgard lunges and I am a fraction of a second too slow. His practice sword slips past my block and the flat of the blade smacks hard against my ribs. The impact is a dull, explosive agony. The air is punched from my lungs and I collapse, curling into a ball, gasping like a fish on a riverbank. I lie there, waiting for the familiar, silent pause before he nudges me with his boot to get up. But it doesn't come. Instead, I hear the crunch of boots on dirt and a shadow falls over me. I look up, my vision swimming, to see Valgard kneeling beside me. It is the first time I have seen him bend. His usually impassive face is creased with something that looks like concern. Breathe, a voice rumbles. The sound is so unexpected, so deep and rough that it shocks me. Takes me a moment to realize it came from him. He actually spoke. Breathe, he says again, his voice like rocks grinding together. Slowly. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. I follow his instruction, the simple command a lifeline in the sea of pain. The fire in my ribs slowly subsides to a throbbing ache. He remains kneeling, watching me, his gaze analytical. You are slower today, he states. Weaker. The alpha's sessions are taking a greater toll. It is not a question. He has been observing. He has seen the pattern. I give a shaky nod, pushing myself into a sitting position. She needed more this morning, I manage to gasp. He is silent for a moment, his gaze distant. I remember when the curse first took hold, he says, his voice a low murmur. I was on her personal guard then too. I watched her go from the fiercest warrior in the pack to this, a ghost on a throne. He looks back at me and his eyes for the first time are not the eyes of an instructor, but of a wolf who has seen too much. What you do in that room, it is a greater battle than any fought in this ring. I am stunned into silence. This is Valgard. The stone man. The silent huskell. He is not supposed to have opinions. He is not supposed to feel. He reaches out and places a huge, calloused hand on my shoulder. You are not a warrior, Kael. Not in the way of steel and bone. But you have a different kind of courage. He gives my shoulder a firm squeeze. That is all. The lesson is over for today. Go. Rest. He stands, his impassive mask slipping back into place, and walks away, leaving me sitting in the dirt, utterly bewildered. For 2 weeks he has been an instrument of my training, a tool of the alpha's will. But with a few rough words and a simple gesture he has shown me something else. He has shown me the wolf behind the duty. And he has shown me something I thought I had lost forever. A glimmer of respect from a true warrior of the Umbral Fang. It is a small thing, a tiny crack in the wall of my isolation. But as I limp back to the spire, the pain in my ribs feels a little less sharp. The hollow feeling in my soul feels a little less empty. The alpha is using me. My brother wants to kill me. The pack hates me. But one man, a man of stone and silence, has seen the truth of my sacrifice. And somehow that makes all the difference. Chapter 14. Whispers in the Dark. The Spire is a lonely place, but it is not always silent. At night, when the pack sleeps, the tower seems to come alive with its own secrets. I hear the sigh of the wind through the stone, the scuttling of unseen things in the walls, and sometimes I hear whispers. Tonight the whispers are closer. I am lying in my bed, drifting in the exhausted space between waking and sleeping, when I hear voices from Seraphina's main chamber. It is late, well past midnight. I should not be able to hear anything. But the stone is old and sound travels in strange ways. Curiosity, a dangerous and foolish impulse, gets the better of me. I slip from my bed and press my ear against the cold, rough stone of the wall that separates our chambers. The voices are faint, distorted, but I can make them out. One is Seraphina, her tone low and urgent. The other is a voice I recognize with a jolt. Urthik, the High Elder. The one who demanded she choose a mate. Cannot continue, Alpha, Urthik is saying, his voice a strained whisper. The pack is on a knife's edge. Jax has the loyalty of nearly every warrior. They see his humiliation as their own. They see the Omega as a sign of your weakness, not your strength. The Omega is the only reason I am strong enough to have this conversation with you, Urthik, Seraphina's voice replies, sharp as a shard of ice. Or have you forgotten the state I was in before the offering? Of course not. But his healing, it is not a permanent solution. It is a balm, not a cure. And the price is the pack's spirit. Every day he remains by your side, your authority erodes. They whisper that you have been enchanted, that your mind is no longer your own. There is a pause. I can almost picture them in the dark, the dying Alpha and her worried elder, two pillars of a crumbling world. What would you have me do? Seraphina asks, her voice weary. Exile him? Let the curse consume me completely? That would surely inspire their confidence. No, Urthik says, and his voice drops even lower, becoming conspiratorial, dangerous. There are other ways. Old ways. The shamans of the Blood Moon Pack. They have knowledge of curses. They speak of rituals that can sever a blight, but they require a great sacrifice. A transfer. My blood runs cold. A transfer. You mean to transfer the curse to another host, Seraphina says, her voice flat. To let it consume someone else in my stead. A strong host, Urthik presses. One who could perhaps contain it longer. Or one whose loss would be acceptable. A sacrifice for the good of the pack. The unspoken name hangs in the silence between them. My name. They are talking about making me the curse's new vessel. To save her, they would condemn me to the same slow, withering death. Only my journey would be much, much faster. I feel sick. I pull away from the wall, my hand clamped over my mouth to stifle a gasp. This is my true purpose. I'm not just the medicine. I am the final, disposable cure. The Blood Moon Pack are our rivals. Their shamans would demand a steep price for such knowledge, Seraphina says, her tone purely analytical, as if discussing the trade of pelts. They would demand an alliance, Urthik says. A marriage pact. Their Alpha's son, for your hand once you are healed. It would secure our northern border and bring their strength into our fold. A marriage pact. An alliance. This is what it has always been about. Power. Politics. I am just a footnote, a temporary solution until a more permanent, more brutal one can be arranged. And what of the Omega? Seraphina asks. My heart stops. I press my ear back to the wall, desperate to hear her answer. The Omega would have served his purpose, Urthik says, his voice laced with cold dismissal. He would be lauded as a hero. The noble sacrifice who gave his life for his Alpha. The pack would understand that. They would honor him in death in a way they never would in life. The silence stretches. This is it. This is the moment she condemns me. She will agree. It is the logical choice. The Alpha's choice. Save herself, strengthen the pack through an alliance, and dispose of the inconvenient, controversial Omega in a way that makes him a martyr. It is a perfect solution. No, she says. The word is quiet but absolute. Alpha. Urthik sounds stunned. I said no, Seraphina repeats, her voice hardening. I will not trade one cage for another. I will not bind myself to the Blood Moon Alpha's whelp, And I will not sacrifice the only wolf who has given me an ounce of relief on the word of a rival shaman's, perhaps. Her voice drops, becoming deadly. Kael remains. He is my choice. My solution. We will speak no more of this. You are dismissed. I hear the shuffling of feet, the creak of the heavy door. He is gone. I slide down the wall, my legs no longer able to support me, and land in a heap on the floor. I am shaking uncontrollably. She refused. She had the perfect way out, a path that would save her and solve all her political problems. But she refused. She chose to keep me, the flawed, draining, controversial solution, over the logical, brutal, easy one. Why? The question echoes in the silent darkness of my room. Cannot be for my sake. She feels nothing for me. I am a tool. So why protect the tool when a better one is offered? Unless the tool has become something more. For the first time since I was brought to this tower, a new, terrifying, and utterly insane thought enters my mind. What if she is not just using me? What if, in some way I cannot possibly comprehend, she is beginning to protect me? And in the world of the Umbral Fang, there is no protection more absolute or more dangerous than an alpha's. Chapter 15. A Gift of Wood and Bone. The aftermath of my overheard conversation leaves me restless and on edge. Every time I look at Seraphina, I am searching for a sign, a clue to her motives. But her face remains a mask of regal indifference. Our rhythm continues unchanged. The brutal lessons with Valgard, the draining sessions with my flute. Yet everything feels different. I am no longer just a prisoner. I am a secret she is choosing to keep. One afternoon, as I am leaving her chamber after a session, feeling the familiar hollow ache in my spirit, she speaks my name. Kael. I turn surprised. She rarely speaks to me outside of commands. Your flute, she says, nodding towards the simple wooden instrument in my hand. The wood is pale. Smooth. It is from the Whisperwood Grove, is it not? I nod, my hand tightening around it. Yes, Alpha. It is a sacred place, she muses, her eyes distant. They say the trees there listen. That they hold the memories of the pack. She is quiet for a moment. The sound it makes, it is pure. But it is thin. The instrument is simple. I feel a defensive bristle. Maybe simple, but it is mine. It is the only voice I have. As if sensing my thoughts, she clarifies. I do not mean it as a slight. I mean that a more resonant instrument might be less of a strain on the musician. She walks over to a large, carved chest in the corner of the room, one I have never seen her open. She lifts the heavy lid, and the scent of old wood, leather, and cedar fills the air. She reaches inside and pulls something out. He turns back to me and my breath catches. It is a flute. But it is like no flute I have ever seen. It is crafted not from a single piece of wood, but from two materials seamlessly joined. The body is made of a dark, almost black wood, polished to a high gleam and inlaid with thin, delicate lines of silver that form swirling patterns like smoke. But the mouthpiece is carved from bone. A creamy, ancient white that stands in stark contrast to the dark wood. This was my mother's, Seraphina says, her voice softer than I have ever heard it. She was not a warrior. She was a lore-keeper. A dreamer. The pack did not understand her. There is a world of pain and memory in that simple statement. She believed that music was the oldest form of magic. That it could soothe beasts, mend spirits, and speak to the gods. He holds the flute out to me. The wood is ironwood, dense and strong to give the notes power. The bone is from a snow owl for clarity and spirit. She said it was a balance. Body and soul. I stare at the offering, unable to move. It is a treasure. A priceless artifact of her own bloodline. I cannot, Alpha, I stammer. It is yours. Your mother's. My mother is a ghost and I have no use for it, she says, her tone becoming firm again, the moment of softness passing. Its song has been silent for 20 years. You are the only one in this pack who can make it sing again. I'm not giving you a gift, Kael. I am giving you a better tool for the task I have set you. A stronger weapon for our war. He pushes it into my hands. The feel of it is extraordinary. It is heavier than my simple flute, perfectly balanced. The bone is cool and smooth against my fingertips. I can feel a faint, dormant energy within it, a sleeping magic waiting to be woken. It will take more breath, she warns. More control. But the resonance, it should amplify the effect. It may take less from you to give me what I need. It may take less from you. Is that it? Is this just another calculated move to make her medicine more efficient? Or is it something more? Is this a gesture of trust? An acknowledgement of my role, of my sacrifice? A gift from the woman, not the alpha? I look from the beautiful, impossible instrument in my hands to her face. Her expression is guarded, impassive as always. But her eyes, her newly green eyes, hold a flicker of something I cannot name. It is not kindness. It is not pity. It is anticipation. She wants to hear it sing again. Thank you, Alpha, I whisper, my voice thick with an emotion I cannot define. I lift the bone mouthpiece to my lips. I take a deep breath, deeper than I ever have for my own flute, and I play. The sound that emerges is not the thin, lonely whisper of my whisperwood branch. It is a voice. Rich, deep, and resonant, filled with a sorrow and a beauty that echoes off the stone walls. It is the sound of a 20-year silence breaking. It is the sound of a mother's forgotten magic. It is the sound of my own soul, amplified, given a power I never knew it possessed. And as the music fills the room, I watch Seraphina. She closes her eyes, and for the first time since I have known her, a single perfect tear traces a path down her cheek, a river of salt through a landscape of old pain. The flute is not just a tool. And I am no longer sure I am just a song. Of course. Here are the final 5 chapters of Part 1 of the audiobook, The Shadow Omega's Forbidden Song, taking Kael's journey to a critical turning point. Chapter 16, The Scent of Iron and Rain. The new flute changes everything. Seraphina was right. The resonance is extraordinary. The music seems to flow from it with a will of its own, a deep and powerful current that requires me to act as its guide rather than its source. The drain on my own spirit is lessened, not gone, but muted. After our sessions I am still tired, but I am no longer hollowed out, no longer feeling like a ghost. This newfound energy translates directly to my training. I am faster on my feet, my blocks are stronger, and my mind is clearer. Valgard, in his silent way, notices. He pushes me harder, introducing more complex drills, forcing me to think and react instead of just surviving. I still end most days in the dirt, but now I am the one who gets back up without prompting. The pack notices too. My continued presence in the Spire, my visible role in the Alpha's slow but undeniable recovery, has shifted the tide of their opinion from raw hatred to a sullen, resentful acceptance. I am a bitter pill they are being forced to swallow. The taunts and whispers have not stopped, but they are quieter now, tinged with a grudging confusion. The broken Omega is not acting broken anymore. My relationship with Seraphina is also changing, settling into a strange, unspoken rhythm. Our time together is no longer just a clinical transaction of healing. After I play for her, she sometimes speaks. She tells me stories of the artifacts in her chambers, of the mother she barely knew, of the brutal political lessons her father taught her. She speaks of the pack not as a leader addressing a subordinate, but as a weary monarch confiding in the only person who understands the true nature of her prison. I, in turn, find myself speaking of the whisperwood, of the language of the trees, of the way a piece of wood can hold a song within it. I never speak of Jax. I never speak of the years of torment. I speak only of the silence, and for the first time, I have found someone who is not afraid to listen to it. We are 2 lonely souls, orbiting each other in the cold vacuum of the Spire. An Alpha who has never known softness and an Omega who has never known power. One evening, a fierce storm rolls in from the mountains. Rain lashes against the windows of the Spire, and the wind howls a mournful song that competes with my own. I have just finished playing for Seraphina. She seems particularly restless tonight, pacing the chamber like a caged wolf, the storm outside a reflection of the one within her. The curse hates the rain, she says, stopping to stare out at the deluge. Feels agitated, hungry. As she speaks, a violent shiver racks her body. She stumbles, pressing a hand against the cold stone of the wall for support. Alpha. I rush to her side, my hand hovering, unsure if I am allowed to touch her. It is nothing, she grits out, but her face is pale and the faint gray veins on her neck have darkened ominously. The storm is aggravating her sickness. Play again, she commands, her voice strained. The first song, it was not enough. I hesitate. To play again so soon, it would drain me significantly, new flute or not. But the look of pain on her face, a raw and unguarded agony that she rarely allows to show, overrides my caution. I lift the bone flute to my lips and begin to play. I pour all my focus, all my will into the music, trying to weave a shield of sound to protect her from the storm within and without. The notes cry out, mingling with the howling wind. She stands with her eyes closed, her body rigid, fighting a battle I cannot see. As the melody reaches its peak, another, more violent tremor shakes her. Her legs buckle. This time I do not hesitate. I drop the flute and catch her, my arms wrapping around her waist to stop her from falling. The shock of the contact is electric. She is taller than me, but her body is terrifyingly light, all sharp angles and tense muscle. Her skin is feverishly hot through the thin fabric of her tunic. Her head lolls back against my shoulder, her breathing ragged. Her pale, silvery hair spills over my arm. I am holding my alpha. I am holding the most powerful, dangerous wolf in the territory as if she were a fragile doll. And then I smell it. Beneath the scent of old stone, dried herbs, and the clean smell of the rain, there is another scent coming from her. A faint, almost imperceptible fragrance that my wolf senses, even in their broken state, recognize on a primal cellular level. It is the scent of pine needles after a storm, of wet earth, of moonlight on snow. It is the scent of a destined mate. My heart stops. It is impossible. Utterly, completely impossible. I am an omega. A broken one. She is an alpha. Mates are chosen by the moon goddess for balance, for strength, for the propagation of the pack. Our pairing would be a cruel joke, a union of silence and fury, brokenness and power. And yet, the scent is there. Faint, suppressed by the sickness, but undeniable. She stirs in my arms, her head lifting. Her face is inches from mine. Her eyes, now a deep and vibrant green, are wide with a dazed, feverish confusion. And I see in them a mirror of my own shock. He smells it on me. The scent of ozone before a lightning strike, of wild ginger, of smoke from a distant fire. What? She whispers, her voice filled with a disbelieving wonder that echoes my own. The moment is shattered by the chamber door bursting open. Valgard and another Huskarl stand there, their swords drawn, alerted by the sound of her stumble. They freeze, their eyes widening as they take in the scene. Their alpha limp in the arms of the shadow omega, our faces inches apart, the air crackling with an impossible, forbidden energy. I release her as if burned, and she stumbles back, catching herself on the wall. Her face is a storm of conflicting emotions. Shock, confusion, and a flicker of something I dare not name. Fear. Get out, she snaps at the Huskarls, her voice ragged. They hesitate for only a second before bowing and retreating, closing the door behind them. We are left alone in the sudden, deafening silence, the sound of the rain and our own ragged breaths filling the void. We have discovered a secret far more dangerous than any whispered conversation. A secret that defies every law of our kind, every tradition of our pack. A secret that has the power to either save us both or utterly destroy us. The dying alpha and the silent omega. We are fated mates. And the world as we knew it has just ended. Chapter 17. The Alliance of the Damned. The days that follow our discovery are a masterclass in denial. We do not speak of it. We do not acknowledge it. The moment in the storm becomes a shared hallucination, a secret buried so deep we can pretend it never happened. Our routine continues. Training, healing, the exchange of quiet stories. But now, a new and unbearable tension underlies every interaction. Every time I am near her, the scent is a constant, maddening whisper, a reminder of the impossible truth. It makes my broken wolf spirit, the part of me that has been dormant and shamed for so long, stir with a painful, hopeless longing. And I see in the tightness of her jaw, in the way she avoids my gaze for a fraction of a second too long, that she is fighting the same war. The world outside the Spire, however, refuses to be ignored. Urthik and the other elders begin to pressure Seraphina again. The Blood Moon Pack has sent a formal envoy. They wish to discuss an alliance. They wish to discuss a marriage. They wish to discuss their shaman's knowledge of her curse. Seraphina is forced to grant them an audience. And, in a move that sends a shockwave through the pack, she commands that I attend the meeting. Not as a servant but at her side. They must see the pack as it is, not as they wish it to be, she tells me beforehand, her voice cold and strategic. They must see that my choice is not a whim. It is a fixture. I know the real reason. He wants me there as a shield. My presence is a rejection of their offer before it is even made. The Great Hall is prepared not for a celebration, but for a tense negotiation. The Blood Moon envoy consists of their alpha's son, a hulking arrogant brute named Fenrir, and 2 of their shamans, ancient wolves draped in pelts and bones. I stand beside Seraphina's throne, dressed in fine black leathers she provided, the bone flute tucked into my belt. I can feel the hatred of my own packmates rolling off them in waves, their humiliation now on display for our rivals. Jack stands with our warriors, his face a thundercloud. Fenrir swaggers forward, his eyes the color of dirty ice, raking over Seraphina with a possessive, insulting gaze. He then looks at me and a sneer twists his lips. "This is the creature that sings for you, is it?" he says to Seraphina, his voice a gravelly insult. I had heard the rumors, but to see it, the great alpha of the Umbral Fang, brought so low she must keep an omega as a pet. Before Seraphina can respond, I speak. My voice is quiet, but in the tense hall it carries. "I am no pet," I say, meeting his gaze without flinching. "I am the consort of the alpha." Fenrir throws his head back and laughs, a harsh, ugly sound. "Consort? A broken thing like you? You cannot even hold a proper shift. What comfort can you give your alpha? What strength can you offer her?" "The kind of strength you would not understand," I reply, my hand resting on my flute. His sneer deepens. He takes a step closer. "Perhaps you are right. The Blood Moon Pack understands only true strength. The strength of a warrior. The strength of an alpha. A strength I would be happy to offer your alpha, once she has disposed of her distractions." He is goading me. He is trying to provoke a reaction, to make me look weak and foolish, to prove to everyone that I am nothing. But the weeks of training with Valgard, the endless lessons in enduring pain and holding my ground, have forged something new in me. "My alpha has no need of your strength," I say, my voice steady. "She has her own. And she has mine." Fenrir's eyes narrow. "The game is over. Is this your final answer, Alpha Seraphina?" he asks, turning to her. "You would choose this silence, over an alliance that could save your life and secure your borders?" Seraphina leans forward on her throne. The curse has been held at bay for weeks, and though she is not fully healed, she radiates an authority that she has not possessed in years. "My consort speaks the truth," she says, her voice like the cracking of a glacier. "The Umbral Fang has its own strength. We have no need of yours." Her gaze drifts to the Blood Moon shamans. "And we have no need of your shamans' dark bargains. We have our own solution to our own problems." Her eyes meet mine for a fraction of a second, and in that moment we are no longer Alpha and Omega. We are 2 conspirators, 2 damned souls bound together against the world. We are an alliance of our own. Fenrir's face turns purple with rage. "You will regret this," he hisses. "When your pack withers and dies with you, the Blood Moon will be there to pick over the bones." He turns and storms from the hall, his envoy trailing in his wake. The moment the doors close, the hall erupts. "You have doomed us." Urthik cries out, his face pale with terror. "You have made an enemy of the Blood Moon for the sake of an Omega." "Silence!" Jax roars, stepping forward. But he is not looking at Urthik. He is looking at me, and his eyes are filled with a new, terrifying clarity. He has finally understood. This is not a temporary madness. This is not a political game. His alpha has made her final choice. "You," he snarls, pointing a trembling finger at me. "This is your fault. You have bewitched her. You are a cancer in this pack, and you will be the death of us all." He takes a step towards me, his hand reaching for the axe at his belt. But before he can take a second, Seraphina is on her feet, a blur of motion. She is between us in a heartbeat, her hand clamping down on his wrist with a strength that makes him cry out in pain. "I am your alpha, Jax," she says, her voice a deadly whisper. "He is my chosen consort. If you touch him, you declare war on me. And I promise you, it is a war you will not survive." She shoves him back and he stumbles, clutching his wrist, his face a mask of shock and pain. He has never been so utterly dominated, so publicly put in his place. He looks from her to me, and the hatred in his eyes solidifies into something cold, hard, and eternal. He says nothing. He simply turns and walks out of the great hall. But I know with a certainty that chills me to the bone, that this is far from over. I have not just made an enemy of a rival pack. I have turned my own brother into a monster who will stop at nothing to see me destroyed. and he may just take the entire pack with him. Chapter 18. The First Shift. The confrontation with the Blood Moon envoy and the subsequent clash with Jax creates a schism in the pack that is deep and undeniable. The Great Hall, once a place of communal gathering, is now a space of factions. Jax and his warriors occupy one side, their silence a brooding, thunderous thing. The other side, composed of older wolves, mothers and those loyal to the Alpha's bloodline above all else, watch them with nervous apprehension. I am the empty space in the middle, a void that has fractured their world. Seraphina retreats into a state of cold, calculated command. She doubles the border patrols, drills the pack relentlessly, and meets with her loyalists late into the night. She is preparing for a war on two fronts, one from without and one from within. My own life is consumed by this preparation. My sessions with Valgard become longer, more intense. He begins to teach me not just how to defend but how to attack. How to find an opening, how to strike at a weakness. And my healing sessions with Seraphina become a shared ritual of survival. We no longer speak of stories or memories. We speak of strategy. I have become her confidant, her advisor, the only one she can trust because my survival is inextricably linked to hers. One night the full moon hangs in the sky, a perfect silver disk. It is the first full moon since the offering. A powerful primal energy thrums in the air, a call that every wolf, no matter how strong or broken, must answer. The pain starts just after dusk. It is worse than I have ever known. The moon's power seems to amplify my flawed nature, tearing at the seams of my being. I collapse in my chamber, my body convulsing, a silent scream trapped in my throat. This is it. This is the shift that will finally tear me apart. The door to my chamber bursts open. It is Seraphina. She must have sensed my agony through our impossible, unspoken bond. Kael, she cries, rushing to my side. She kneels, and for the first time she touches me not as an alpha commanding her subject but as something else. Her hands are on my shoulders, her presence a desperate, steadying anchor in the storm of my agony. Fight it, she says, her voice urgent. Do not let it break you. I can't, I gasp, my bones grinding, my vision blurring. It's too strong. Then do not fight it, she says, her voice changing, becoming a low, hypnotic command. Listen to it. Your shift is not a curse, Kael. It is a language you have not learned to speak. Stop fighting the pain. Follow it. Find where it leads. Her words make no sense, and yet, in my delirium, they are the only thing I can hold on to. I stop resisting. I surrender to the wave of agony, letting it carry me. And in the heart of the pain I feel a thread. A single, thin line of energy that is not just pain but power. My power. Twisted, tangled, but mine. I focus on it. I follow it. It leads me not to the form of a great wolf, not to the perfect shift I have always craved, but somewhere else entirely. The change comes, but it is not what I expect. My body contorts, but it does not break. My senses explode, the smell of the stone, the scent of the rain-soaked air, the scent of her becoming impossibly vivid. My skin does not sprout fur, but it hardens, taking on the texture of ancient bark. My form elongates, my limbs becoming thin and strong like the branches of a winter tree. I look at my hands and they are no longer hands. They are gnarled, pale things like roots, and from my back great, shadowy, wing-like appendages unfurl, made not of feather and bone, but of woven darkness and moonlight. I have shifted. Not into a wolf. It is something else. Something ancient and strange and utterly unique. A creature of silence and shadows, of the whisperwood itself. I rise to my feet, my new form feeling impossibly light, impossibly powerful. I am taller than before, and the shadowy wings on my back pulse with a soft, ethereal light. Seraphina stares at me, her face a mask of utter, breathtaking awe. By the gods, she whispers. The old tales, they were true. You are not a broken wolf, Kael. She reaches out a trembling hand and touches one of my shadowy wings. It shimmers at her touch. You are a Silence. A guardian spirit of the wood. A creature of music and silence. The realization dawns on me, a truth so profound it rewrites my entire existence. My inability to shift into a wolf wasn't a failure. It was a sign that I was never a wolf to begin with. I am something else. Something thought to be a myth. And in that moment, as the moonlight streams through the window, bathing my strange new form in its silver light, I finally understand. My power was never meant to be the howl of the storm. It was always meant to be the silence of the forest. And my destiny is not to be a consort or a healer or a sacrifice. It is to be a guardian. Her guardian. And the true battle has only just begun. Chapter 19. A declaration of war. My new form recedes with the dawn, my body returning to its familiar human shape, but nothing is the same. The shift has left an echo inside me. The ache in my bones is gone, replaced by a quiet, thrumming energy. The broken parts of me feel whole. I am no longer a failed wolf. I am a successful something else. Seraphina and I do not speak of it, but the knowledge hangs between us, a new and powerful secret. The impossible mate bond, my mythical nature. Our destinies are woven together in a tapestry far older and more complex than pack politics. But pack politics wait for no one. The morning after the full moon, Jax makes his move. He marches into the great hall, flanked by nearly 2/3 of the pack's warriors. Urthik and the other dissenting elders are with him. They stop before the throne, where Seraphina is holding her morning council. I am at her side. Alpha Seraphina, Jax begins, his voice cold and formal, devoid of any familial warmth. We come before you as a delegation of the pack. I see no delegation, Seraphina replies, her voice like ice. I see a challenge. It is a challenge born of desperation, Jax retorts, his gaze sweeping over the assembled wolves. You have rejected a powerful alliance. You have made an enemy of a rival pack. And you have placed your trust and our future in the hands of an Omega who is not fit to carry the name of our bloodline. His eyes find me and they are filled with pure, undiluted loathing. He is a blight, Jax declares, his voice rising, inciting the crowd. A witch who has clouded your mind. The pack is sick and he is the disease. We demand that you hand him over. Let him be tried by pack law for the crime of bewitching an alpha. The hall erupts in shouts of agreement. It is a coup cleverly disguised as a legal proceeding. They know Seraphina will refuse and then they will have their excuse to act. I am the law, Seraphina says, rising from her throne, her presence filling the hall with a pressure that silences the shouts. And I say there will be no trial. Kael is under my protection. He is the consort. My choice is final. Jax smiles, a cold, terrible thing. Then you have left us no choice. Your mind is compromised. You are no longer fit to lead. He draws the ceremonial axe from his belt, the same one he held at the offering. I, Jax, son of Corbin of the Alpha bloodline, invoke the right of Crofchok. The challenge of blood. I challenge you for leadership of the Umbral Fang. A collective gasp sweeps the hall. It is the oldest, most brutal law. A fight to the death between alphas. Brother against sister. Seraphina looks at him and for the first time I see not a politician or a monarch but a predator. A true alpha, cornered and ready to kill. I accept your challenge, she says, her voice a deadly calm. But before Jax can react I step forward, placing myself between them. No, I say. Every eye in the hall turns to me. Jax scoffs. Get out of the way, little bird. This doesn't concern you. It concerns me more than anyone, I say, my voice ringing with a newfound confidence I did not know I possessed. I turn to Jax, meeting his hateful stare without fear. You want a challenge? You want to prove the pack is being led by the weak? Then challenge me. The hall falls into a stunned, absolute silence. Jax stares at me as if I have just grown a second head. Then he bursts into laughter. You would challenge me, he mocks. I would break you in half before you could even lift a blade. Perhaps, I say, my hand going to the bone flute at my belt. But your fight is with me, brother. Not with her. I am the one you hate. I am the disease you want to cleanse. So here is my challenge. I look from his face to the crowd, my voice rising clear and strong. A trial by combat. Me against you. If I win, you will bend the knee to your alpha and your challenge to her leadership is ended forever. You and every wolf who stands with you will swear a new oath of fealty. And when I kill you? Jax snarls, his laughter gone. If you kill me, I say, my gaze unwavering, then the disease is cleansed. The pack is yours to challenge. You will have proven your strength and you will have gotten what you want. It is an insane gamble. I am not his equal in combat. I know that. But I also know something he doesn't. I'm not just a broken Omega anymore. And a fight to the death is not just about strength of the body. It is about the strength of the soul. Jax looks at Seraphina, then back at me. He sees the trap. To refuse my challenge would be to show fear, to admit that the Omega is a legitimate threat. To accept is to get everything he has ever wanted. I accept your terms, he says, a savage, triumphant grin spreading across his face. He is already picturing my death. At dawn. In the Great Ring. To the death. He turns and stalks away, his warriors following, their expressions victorious. I am left standing in the center of the hall, the weight of my declaration settling on me. Seraphina rushes to my side, her face pale with fury and fear. What have you done? She hisses, her grip on my arm painfully tight. This is not a sparring match, Kael. He will kill you. Let him try, I say, and for the first time I feel the echo of my other form, the shadow and the moonlight stirring just beneath my skin. I look into her eyes and she sees the change in me. She sees the strange new power, the impossible calm. He thinks he is fighting a broken Omega, I say softly. He is not. He is fighting a guardian. And he has no idea what kind of storm is about to break. Chapter 20. The Guardian and the Storm. Dawn breaks over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of blood and fire. The entire pack is gathered around the Great Ring. The air is thick with a tension so heavy it feels hard to breathe. This is not a lesson or a ceremony. This is an ending. I stand on one side of the ring, dressed in simple black leathers. I am armed with a single sharp sword Valgard gave me. It feels lighter in my hand now. In my other hand I hold the bone flute. Across from me Jax is a vision of primal power. He is shirtless, his body covered in fresh, aggressive war paint. He wields a massive two-handed battle axe, a weapon designed not for sparring but for cleaving enemies in two. He looks at me with a final, pitying contempt. Seraphina watches from her platform, her face carved from stone. She trusts me, but she is terrified. She knows the stakes. Urthix steps into the center of the ring. The terms are set, he cries, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. A trial by combat to the death. Let the gods of our fathers bear witness. He scrambles from the ring. There is no starting signal. The fight begins when one of us moves. Jax moves first. He doesn't charge. He stalks forward slowly, deliberately, the head of his axe scraping along the dirt, leaving a scar in the earth. He is savoring this. He wants to draw it out. Last chance to beg, little brother, he sneers. Renounce her. Renounce your claim. And I will make your death quick. I do not answer him with words. I lift the bone flute to my lips. He scoffs. You think a song can save you now? I begin to play. But this is not a song of healing. It is not the gentle melody I play for Seraphina. This is a different kind of music. It is a song of the deep woods, of the creaking of ancient trees, of the cold silence of the grave. It is dissonant and sharp, and it grates on the nerves. Jax falters, a look of confusion on his face. The sound, it is unsettling him. It is plucking at the edges of his rage, turning it into something uncontrolled and sloppy. With a roar of frustration he charges. Enough of your tricks. He swings the axe in a great cleaving arc. I do not try to block. I am not strong enough. Instead I do what my other form taught me. I move. I am no longer a clumsy fighter. I am a leaf on the wind, a shadow slipping through the trees. I sidestep his blow, the wind from the axe head whistling past my ear. I keep playing. The music gets stranger, wilder. It echoes in the ring, a sound that does not belong in this world of blood and steel. It is a song of magic. He attacks again. And again. Each time I evade, my movements fluid and unnatural. I am not just dodging. I am leading him in a dance. He is the storm, all rage and power, but he is striking at the wind. He cannot land a blow. His frustration grows. His movements become wilder, less controlled. He is breathing heavily, sweat pouring down his face. The music is draining his stamina, fraying his focus. The pack is silent, their triumphant certainty replaced by a growing, stunned disbelief. Their champion, their perfect warrior, is being made a fool of by a silent Omega with a flute. Finally he makes a mistake. He overcommits to a wild swing, his momentum carrying him forward and leaving him off balance for a single critical second. I stop playing. The sudden silence is as jarring as the music was. In that moment of shocked quiet I drop the flute and move. I'm not a shadow anymore. I am a predator. I dart forward, inside the reach of his axe, my sword a silver blur. I do not aim for his chest or his throat. I aim for his legs. My blade slices across the back of his thigh, deep and true. Jax screams, a sound of pure agony and shock, and collapses to one knee, his leg giving out from under him. He drops the axe, his hands going to the gushing wound. I stand over him, the tip of my sword at his throat. Our positions from my first lesson are perfectly, impossibly reversed. He stares up at me, his eyes wide with disbelief, pain, and for the first time, fear. He cannot understand what has happened. How? He rasps. You thought my silence was a weakness, I say, my voice steady and cold. You were wrong. It was a shield. And you have no idea what was hiding behind it. The pack is utterly silent. They have just witnessed the impossible. I could kill him. Right now. The law demands it. I look at his face, the face of the brother who tormented me, who promised to break me. And I see only a broken, beaten wolf. I pull my sword back. The fight is over, I declare, my voice ringing across the silent ring. I have won. I turn my back on him and walk towards the platform where Seraphina stands, her face streaked with tears of relief and awe. But as I walk, I hear a guttural roar of pure animalistic rage behind me. I turn just in time to see Jax, his face a mask of insane fury, lunging at me. He has abandoned his axe. He has abandoned his honor. He is shifting, his form twisting into the monstrous shape of his wolf, his claws extended, aiming for my back. He will not accept defeat. But as he leaps, my own body reacts. The call of my true nature, the instinct of a guardian, takes over. The shift rips through me, not with pain but with power. My form elongates, the shadowy wings burst from my back, my skin hardens to bark. I turn to meet his attack, no longer Kael the Omega, but the Silent, the guardian of the wood. The monstrous grey wolf that is my brother collides with the mythical creature of shadow and moonlight that is me. And as the pack screams, as two impossible forces meet in the center of the ring, I know one thing for certain. The trial is not over. The war for the soul of the Umbral Fang has just begun.